waiting for Free Bangura, and we're going to talk about our new installation opening tomorrow at Wa Na Wari. I'm just waiting for Free. Let's see. Okay, that's not a real thing. Hello. It's 12 o'clock. Oops, you get to see our wonderful yard. Hi, the Goethe-Institut retrograde is really messing with me. Okay. Hello, everybody. Okay, there she is. Thanks for waiting, everybody. Free is joining as we speak. Hi, Ella. Hey, Jill. Hey, Free.
Hi, girl. Hi. Hey, y'all. Hey, happy Friday.
Happy Friday. So, I'll just really quickly, I'm Elizabeth Johnson. I'm one of the four founders of Wa Na Wari, which is a Black art center in Seattle Central District. And we rent a historically Black-owned home as a way of fighting displacement and give that home back to the Black community as a Black arts and cultural center. And we are super excited to have Free Bangura here today, who we have her story porch opening tomorrow. And she's a Monument Lab fellow. So I'll let you introduce yourself a little bit, and then I'm going to ask you a little bit about Shaping the Past, the Goethe-Institut, and Monument Lab.
Okay, that sounds cool.
Yeah.
Everybody, this is Free. I'm cleaning off my glasses. I'm a newly minted nerd girl with the glasses. I didn't used to wear them. It's a testament to how long I've been doing this, because I didn't used to wear glasses. Now I can't see without them. But I'm from Richmond, Virginia, because there's still like a California Richmond too. I mean, yeah, it is a California Richmond. But anyway, it is Memory Culture Week and month, the end of Memory Culture Month. And, you know, just the fact that we have something like that, and a lot of us that are doing that kind of work don't know about it, it leads into why I feel that it's good for us to have this moment that the Goethe-Institut encouraged us to have this talk, you know? We have to find ourselves and have fun at what we're doing. We're not new jack at all. And we need to be able to enjoy this work because it's always such a hustle bustle. But like I said, my name is Free Bangura. I live in Richmond, Virginia. I run a company, not a nonprofit. It's called Untitled REA. That's the piece off the corner is missing because I deal within the pieces of the missing narratives that have been deliberately submerged. And so this work for me is an extension of my spiritual practice, which is as a fourth generation and beyond, before that, spiritualist. And so much of the work that people endeavor under the name of history is actually their spiritual work in many cases, like me and Elishiba. So I am a Monument Lab fellow, and Monument Lab did their inaugural fellowship the year that I came on board with them, and they endeavored to find people who were independent memory culture keepers and bring us together and allow us to actually foment our own sector. And I just thought that it was a fantastic notion. I applied. And then when they were calling around to ask folks that I put down as references, people came back and told me, yo, they said that you're like exactly the reason why they set up Monument Lab. And so now, after a year of being on the fellowship and the new fellows came in for the second round this year, the relationship that we began with the Goethe-Institut in Berlin, but they're all around the world. And they really have taken a deep interest in promoting memory culture as an international way of bringing people together amongst that type of practice. And so they decided this year, because of coronavirus, that they wanted to do some virtual conversations and get people together intercontinentally, and they started thinking about who they had in the Monument Lab Fellowship, which was me, and then they knew of some amazing projects that they wanted to support and to just deepen the relationships between the two. And they were specific. I can't remember exactly who it was that made the decision to put us together, but someone was like, I think Elishiba and Free would make some beautiful work. And they bankrolled our wildest dreams. And so I was able to meet and develop what is becoming what we're going to talk about.
Yeah. And I think that's a perfect entryway for me to talk a little bit about the Shaping the Past project, which is a collaboration between the Goethe-Institut and Monument Lab. It's an international project that is really looking at the intersection of artists and activists and community places and community storytellers about what is a monument, and what are the stories that monuments leave out, and how do we actually re-envision monuments? Which I think is, and the reason they thought we were so perfect together, one is Wa Na Wari is the new home of the Shelf Life Community Stories Project, which is a project that was spearheaded by Jill Friedberg, and over a year and a half time, gathered over 70 oral histories from people in the community. And we kind of use Wa Na Wari as a living archive of gathering stories from the neighborhood. Wa Na Wari is also, like I said, a 5th generation Black-owned home that's been in Inye-Wakoma's family for 5 generations. And so we also see ourselves as memory and story keepers here, right? People come to this space and tell us stories. And so Free's work of the story portals that she does in Virginia seemed like a perfect fit for what we're doing. So I'll let you talk a little bit about some of the elements in Story Porch that open tomorrow, and what people will be able to see and experience.
Okay, so the first conversation that Elishiba and I had, I just so happens to have been tending my garden. And the garden is like a raised bed garden with these beautiful countertop height. And she was like, what is that? And we began to talk about the notion of her being interested in offering land to cultivate as garden space, and that they have a separate project they're working on there. And it immediately started making me think about what would happen if I built a portal there. And I asked her how she felt about it, and she was like, that's perfect. So in the city of Richmond, it used to be known as the capital of the Confederacy. And then maybe about 6 years ago, the pivot was deliberate to change it to the capital of creativity. And so that's a really interesting 2-part way of looking at memory culture. And so I'm in a fertile place to be able to imagine and be supported by the creative community, the Black arts community, just like you guys have there with the centers that you have right there in that small neighborhood. So this is really a dream project. The Goethe-Institut, I think, has been really supportive of people being able to have the resources to do things that we would normally glaze over because we're so busy and head down and focused on what we're doing. But I guess they're strategic there, and that they are really processing how can we encourage people to really enjoy the work that they're doing so much and not just be project driven because someone's saying, oh, you have to do this or you have to do that. They were intentional about putting us together. So we have the opportunity tomorrow, and I'm so happy to say that we're able to do this on October 31st, because that is traditionally in many cultures, even my own, October 31st is the day that the veil between worlds is the thinnest between the living and those that are on the other side as our guardians and protectors upon whose shoulders we stand. So if you see my shirt, I wear this all the time, doing it for my ancestors. So does Elishiba. That is everything that they're doing over there at Wa Na Wari. So I immediately felt a sense of home and connection. So when the conversations began about how these portals would be built, and we knew we both had the through line of telling deliberately submerged narratives, or narratives that people just didn't realize were rich enough to hold on to, and the preservation of our own stories and our Black freedom struggle and Black excellence and Black love. All those things are all woven into both of our practice. I said, okay, let us build these portals and let them breathe and come to the world on October 31st. And then that is the day many people know as All Souls Day. And then on November 1st is All Saints. So you'll be able to come to Wa Na Wari tomorrow and Sunday for All Saints and All Souls, to be in space of hopefully a moment where there's a space already created for you to honor your own ancestors in a way folks may not have had. It is corona proof, in the sense that you're not going to be closed in a little space, and we brought everything outside and functionalized many areas of their outdoor space to accommodate people's desires to honor their ancestors together.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit more about why it's important to memorialize our ancestors, just like people memorialize generals and et cetera, right? Like, I know that you have a lot of powerful things to say about that.
Okay. Oh, see, it's interesting because I feel like having this conversation, I know that the people that are listening, even though I don't know many of you, I'm certain that you all feel similarly. If you're on this call, you certainly know the importance of preserving narrative. But the reason why I think ancestor stories are important as well, from a personal level for people, is because my godfather taught me some years ago, my spiritual godfather, that it's folly if you elevate and amplify people you never knew and leave your own family uncelebrated and elevated, unadorned, unloved in the spirit realm. So it's really my goal to help create a space where people from Seattle and those that are visiting Seattle and coming to Wa Na Wari will wander in or deliberately come and have a place that they can actually interact with what is known as your very first line of defense. In my tradition and other folks as well, from many different earth-based traditions, your ancestors are your first line of defense. And what that basically means is that, first of all, to define an ancestor means you must have good character. An ancestor isn't just anyone who has passed away. It's a person that actually achieved high honor, and that their family looks at them and says that this is character that we should emulate and that other people should know about, because they may not have someone as awesome as this person in their family lineage. Where that's powerful, just on an energy level, is that if you align yourself with positive frequencies, you're guaranteed to be successful at anything you endeavor, which is why the homage starts from the beginning in learning to appreciate and honor one's ancestral culture and lineage. And so that's been something that I think has not necessarily been as deliberate as it should be within Black culture or even dominant culture. And at Wa Na Wari, we have an opportunity to be able to bring those elements to it, but not in a way that would be off-putting to someone that might think that it's not in alignment with their already spiritual practice. So we've simplified it to its basic elements. It is there a person that you believe has really inspired you and the way that you live your life? It doesn't even have to be someone from your bloodline, quite frankly. It could be someone that you just read in a novel. It could be someone that it just has character that you really, that you feel that, you feel more strong when you're doing things the way that this person did. And so when you come to Wa Na Wari and experience the portal, there's instruction for how to go about doing this. And you call them, and it's an all interactive experience. And you don't need to read in order to be able to know. That's the most important part of my practice, is that a lot of times when you look at things that are about memory culture, they kind of take a weird, nerdy left, and they start like being in big, thick books and tomes and stuff. And the best stuff no one reads because it's just so daunting for the average everyday person. So my practice is to be able to help people understand that not only do they have people that are worthy of being recognized, but they should be the one to recognize them and pattern and emulate your life to those people, so that you can be a person that we look at when you're gone and say, hey, I want to be like that. So it's really all about good character, which in the Yoruba tradition for West Africa is called Iwakwele. And so it's really all about keeping a cool head, or a tutu. It's really all about having good character, Iwakwele. And it's, most importantly, to look at the past and know that it's never too late to go back there. And if you do something great, bring it into the future and be more dope.
No, I totally agree with everything you said. And I think, oops, sorry. I'm outside on the porch. That was intentional.
Oh my gosh.
So it's loud. It's not
I know.
always quiet out here. but yeah, I mean, we also believe at Wa Na Wari that history, like we believe that Wa Na Wari can be a living archive, which is part of some of the conversations that me and you had about people in our community who are doing the work that they need to be upheld just as much as, you know, somebody famous. And you talked a little, you've talked a lot about how grandmothers will, you know, pass down recipes, or they'll be known for all this love, and like, how do we uphold and exalt all the love that that person gives to community? And I think that we're really excited to be able to do that. One of our ancestor portals is for one of my friends, Rahwa Habti, who was an incredible community organizer, who's given so much to Seattle, and not just the hip hop scene and the organizing scene and the immigrant and refugee scene, but just so much more. And I think, again, we'll be able to, it'll be another space that people can come and not really grieve, but like uphold and celebrate the life that she lived, and honor her. So I think that work you're doing is really upholding people that we don't, what we think traditional, we're upending what traditional memorials are, and kind of going back to a continent, West African idea of what that should be. And I'm super excited about that and what that means.
You know, remember when I had that conversation with you? It's probably like, it was super late. And like, I was like, you'll never want to guess what I found out about the culture upon which, well, does everyone know who Yidam is, and how, do you want to say that before I tell about the whole Calabar piece and how I discovered them to ancestor people?
It's really Inye. Inye Wikoma is one of our co-founders, and his father is Nigerian. And so you, once you found that out, you found so much research and things that you entered into this project in a really interesting way. So I'll let you talk about that.
Yes, I mean, I think I'll go into a couple of specifics. They're going to be tidbits, but those of you who are watching and will come later and visit, you'll see what I'm talking about. But, you know, I've always, from a youngster, I think, you know, I had to be about 10 or 11 years old, and I went to school. There weren't any other Black students at a certain point for school for me, and I was really reaching out, trying to find elements of Black culture as a 10-year-old. And I remember I took this book out of the library and never took it back. It's like old Egypt. And so I just started learning hieroglyphs, right? And I've always felt like, you know, wow, does West Africa have hieroglyphs? And then I found out, obviously, probably the year later, about Ndinka symbols that come from Ghana. But then I was just a little daunted by the notion that people didn't really speak of any other symbol system that was deeply developed until maybe about 15 years ago. I heard about something called Interdisciplinary. And it wasn't like a deep thing. It was just like, oh, here's a chart, here's some symbols. And it was enough for me to know that, yes, we did have writing. It wasn't just all Arabic. It wasn't just all Sanskrit. It wasn't all just, you know, Coptic print and everything. We did have our own West African, uninterrupted, uncolonized, un-Eurocentric writing system. So that's like decolonizing a lot of thought process that people make it seem like our culture in West Africa was not as sophisticated as maybe Egypt or whatever they think is the most elevated. We had Dogon, all kinds of things. So anyway, so when I asked her what Wa Na Wari meant, she told me it was our home in the Calabar language. So I started researching the Calabar, and they have this amazing culture where they created this writing system, and the symbols are off the chain. NSIBIDI, deep as deep can be. So I'm like, wow, you know, but then I started realizing once they got in contact with the Europeans, they made a pivot so that everything was stacked and layered on the imported goods from Europe. And so I wanted to be able to incorporate the notion that Wa Na Wari seeks to be a red, black, and green space. It is a liberated space for Black nationalism and the return to our African culture, and being able to show how everyday people's narratives do align with our African disconnected selves, and that we should just use this as a place where you can, right? You can't come to Wa Na Wari unless you're speaking an African language, because, you know, it's just brilliant how they connected those pieces for people without them even realizing what they're doing. So to make a long story short, I find out that the Calabar people, before European contact, were one of the most astute ancestor keepers of culture. I couldn't believe it. They make these funerary screens that are carved, that have these geometric shapes that are so like in alignment with my own just visual language and aesthetic. And I just was like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. And it's not something that you hear about very often. It's not one of those major West African tribes that you just, gravitate towards and know, Yoruba, Benin, whatever. But the Calabar culture prior to the Eurocentric influence was just so aligned with the work that we're talking about today, in the sense that they felt that it was a matriarchal system, that they felt that the women were the water bearers, the bringers of life, and the really most spiritually astute of anyone in their tribe. So I'm like, wait a minute, so we're doing this work together, and we're bringing forth this Calabar, and this is an all women type of conversation circle we're having around this work. And it just really made me understand that we were placed in this moment to do this on October 31st. Now, here's where it gets really deep. My Nana, my beloved spiritualist who's taught me everything, Nana, passed away 2 weeks ago. Inye's auntie, who was the grandmother, passed away the same week, or maybe 10 days in between. So now we're all responsible for building these portals. And then Rakwa passes away, and she goes into the land of the beloved unseen. So we've got all these ancestors. We're not just building this portal because someone said do it and we're going to help support you guys to co-dream together. No, someone gave us the space to come together, and then we're here to pull each other through this moment. So the entire time we've been working on this, we've been having funerals, shrine work, elevations, wakes, people talking about our own bloodlines and families. I cannot begin to tell you how important this work is, because if you begin to hold up your ancestors, they will open up a space for you to be able to do that and to access the prosperity like you've never seen before. So this space is there for you all to be able to tap into this power and get this bag, because when you hold up your ancestors, they will hold you up. Hold up that which holds you up. That is called Simba Simbi. And so we made a space. We didn't realize that it was going to be functionalized with our own bloodline. And we have now someone who is 42 years old, who, when she transitioned, who was a community builder in Sierra Leone, in Seattle. And now we have an ancestor who can actually relate to us, that's not 70 years old. So in the midst of all these conversations, I just learned a lot about Inye's family, the Greens, who invested so much time and resources into investing in this one neighborhood there. And these are the things that we're really hoping that you all will get encouragement for when you come to visit the portal. I will talk about the telephone numbers, but I want to make sure that I give you some space to be able to add in some other elements of it before we go into it. But just to say, it is all interactive, and you don't need a tour guide in order to experience this. You can do it at your own pace. You can come back. And really, if there's someone who passes away in your family, let's just say, I kind of had a vision a couple of weeks ago that there's going to be people who aren't able to gather in Seattle because their family member might pass away, and it might be related to coronavirus, like it was with my daddy when he passed in May. And when that situation happens, you may not be able to have a funeral, but this space at Wa Na Wari is staying up, and you all will be able to use this as a functional space where any ancestor that you want to elevate as a community, you come together. It was very important to me not to have this opportunity to make work in Seattle, for it to be something that you just put up and then take down, and I'm out and I go back to Richmond and I'm like, hey, thanks, whatever. I wanted to leave them with things that were going to be functional for as long as we shall live. And that these memories will not be for just she and I or the people that come and see the exhibit this weekend, but that it's there. And so my practice is to leave things better than they were when it comes to the memory sector. And the memory sector is basically people who are the children of those who chose to survive, which is who we are. We are the children of those that chose to survive. And so
I
we
love
need
that.
to make sure
That might be, I was going to say that actually might be a good place for us to kind of pause, because we're about to end our time on this chat, but I want to make sure people know a couple things. So Story Porch opens at Wa Na Wari this weekend, Saturday, tomorrow. Come by anytime afternoon. It'll be up for many, many months. It'll be a safe space. There will be hand sanitizer. It'll be welcoming for you to come and check it out. Also, this is kind of one of the first intensive collaborations that I've had cross country with an artist, right? So me and Free have not just only collaborated together, but with lots of Inye Wakoma's family members, with Yidam Sek, who helped with this installation, and very integral, and Ben Gale Shrek, and really bringing in other artisans and artists locally to work on this project. So I just want to thank them for a huge shout out. And we were saying that this is very much a collaboration. It's been back and forth with us, me learning about Free's practice, her learning about the history of this house and this family, and it's been really wonderful. You can talk a little bit about the phone numbers, but I want them to have some surprises when they come. So,
well, I just know that, for the two of us, one of the most important things is that we want the work that we do. This is definitely a through line for both of us. We want the work that we do to be inspirational and to be, replicable. So if there's anything that you see and you want more information about it when you come and visit, I set it up specifically so you'll be able to call a telephone number at 804-277-8116. Don't call it yet, because it won't be up until tomorrow when it debuts. But all the telephone numbers are on these structures that were built by this amazing artisan that was already part of the Wa Na Wari collective. He was volunteering his time to create these beautiful portals that I normally make here with the artisans here in Richmond. But I got a chance to actually send my specs and color palette and the artwork and everything, and they're assembling everything according to the vision for the project. And so collaboratively, you'll be able to come in with your family members and friends, call these telephone numbers, learn about some of the archetypal individuals we have on the portals. We talked about Rakwa and all that she gives, not only in the hip hop community, but just in terms of representing the people-powered voices that deserve to be amplified in the community, which every one of our cities or countries has people that operate in that space. And so she's an archetypal figure. And even if you didn't know her, you know someone who is holding that same space, or you're holding that same space. So when you go to Rakwa's portal, it's not that she is now just an ancestor. Her energy has gone back into the whole ball of those people who did that work in the world. She is part of a global, universal energy now. And so when you visit her portal, you'll be able to hear things about her, but also it will inspire you to live more like that and be encouraged, and to treat the people that are like that like they're a jewel, like they're a strawberry starburst. Treat them well, because we have the responsibility to honor one another and give each other our flowers before we leave. And that space hopefully will put you in the framework of living like a person that will become an ancestor in the future. So tomorrow is the big day. And most importantly, the veil between the realms is the thinnest on October 31st. Fun fact about Free Bangura, I have 3 children. They are 26, 25, and 12, all 3 girls. All of them were conceived on October 31st. I had the same due date 3 times. So just want you to know that this is my power day, and tomorrow that is, and it is a high honor to be able to cross-countryly connect with you all. Untold RVA on the socials, or General Bangura. And if you feel as though this is a space you need to check out, she has agreed to keep this to be a thing for as long as, just for as long as. There's no plans we actually plan on building it out more. So love to meet you. And please know, even if you don't come, honor your ancestors tomorrow. That's just what we do.
Yes.
And the day after. Honor them every day. Specifically when the veil between the realms is the thinnest, because that's the time when, even without trying, you'll be surrounded by that beautiful ethereal energy of all those known and unknown. Even though you might not know the names of your ancestors, trust and believe there was someone with a beautiful spirit that was somewhere along your bloodline, and people probably didn't even want to tell you about that person because they always call us crazy, right? But you call that person out and you say, you know what, the veil's super thin, it's October 31st. It's not really all about ghouls and goblins. It's really about the fact that this is my opportunity to communicate with you. And I just want to say thank you. That's all you have to do. Watch your life improve from that day forward. Our ancestors are our wildest, we are their wildest dreams, and they are our first line of defense. And emulating good character always ends up with you just being golden, just through and through.
I love it. Thank you, Free, and we'll see many of you again. And like I said, it'll be up for a while. Thanks for joining us today for this chat about Story Porch that opens tomorrow. And have a great Friday. Thank you, Goethe-Institut. Thank you, Monument Lab.
Thank you, guys. Peace, everyone. Thank you for having us. Power to the people. May it be so.